And this
Thank
is
you, Sean.
exciting.
Thank you,
That
Sean.
was-
Wait a minute, Sean. Woohoo.
Woohoo,
Thank you,
Sean.
Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sean.
Good
you, Sean.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Sean.
Buddy.
Thank you,
Great job,
Sean.
Sean.
Okay,
you,
Tom, we're at 3:05.
Super value.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean.
Woohoo.
Thank you, Sean.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean, for
Good
the
job,
Thank you,
contribution.
Sean.
Is this great for your self-esteem or what? My
I know
goodness.
it. Yeah. Alex, check your text messages. That was pretty good. It was actually really good, but it was a little dry. I'm going to bring in somebody to kind of level it up a little bit. So this guy doesn't even know he's speaking. I don't even know if you've ever even heard of him. He's somewhat of a motivational speaker. He's somewhat of a network marketer. He's somewhat of a naturopathic doctor. He's somewhat of the most amazing man on the planet. His name is Dr. Joel Wallach. Somebody unmute him. Let's bring this guy to the forefront. While you're unmuting him, unmute so we can start screaming. Dr. Joel Wallach.
Dr. Wallach.
We love you.
Appreciate you, Doc.
Hey, thank you, Steve and Michelle. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Sean. Oh my gosh, this is great stuff. And thank you, Sandy, for getting me hooked up here. Are you all there?
Exciting.
Okay. Any particular subject you want me to hit, or are you going to leave it to me?
I want you to go crazy for 5 minutes that we know is going to go for 10, and then I'm going to turn your microphone on.
Okay. All right. Well, you're going to get a lot of stories about products and this, that, and the other. And so I'm just going to ditto everything that's being said about the product. I love the colloidal silver. It was the antibiotic for 1,000 years before penicillin came along in 1938. It kills every bug known to man and every bug unknown to man. And so really it's a great one. And this is one of the biggest things that the sailors used to take with them hundreds of years ago and 1,000 years ago around the world, the colloidal silver. And all the immune support stuff, the I-26 Z radical, fucoid Z, and so forth. Let's see here. Okay, we got 600 products, or no, we have 5,000 products, and deal with 600 diseases. And so I want to talk just a little bit about the coronavirus thing. And the reason I was able to figure out what caused and prevented and cured cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, how to prevent and get rid of sudden death syndrome, was I looked at the natural history of the disease. Everybody else wants to find a vaccine right away, okay? But what is the natural history? What does it look? Well, the interesting thing about the coronavirus is if you're a little baby and you get the coronavirus, you have very mild symptoms of a cold, maybe a little fever, maybe a little bit of coughing. You're a pre-teenager, a teenager, you get the symptoms of a cold, a little bit of coughing, a little bit of fever. I think there's been one teenager in America die from the coronavirus here, okay, COVID-19. And then when you're a millennial, you're safe. I mean, up until you're 57, 60 years old, millennials, they might get cold-like symptoms and get a little coughing and a little fever. And the usual way of dealing with that, it goes away. But once you become beyond a millennial and you're a senior and you're over, say, 60 years of age, you're in trouble. Why would a virus be more severe to somebody who's been around a long time than somebody who's a baby and you get that virus and it doesn't kill you? I mean, what's going on here? Why is it so devastating for seniors? Well, I want to look at Italy. Italy is the country right now that is more people dying and more people getting the coronavirus infections and death than anybody else. I mean, it makes the Chinese thing look like nothing. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, I looked at the immune system. Of course, the immune system the babies are born with, and it was mentioned earlier, the colostrum, okay, which has all the antibodies in it. But also, and you have signals that call to white blood cells in the bone marrow. Most people don't know this, but your bone marrow makes red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets, antibodies. And so your bone marrow is one of your most important parts of your cardiovascular system, as well as one of your most important parts of your immune system, your bone marrow of all things. Okay? So what happens is you get older and older and older, if you're eating the wrong things and you can't absorb nutrients that are necessary for your bone marrow to make white blood cells, which I call the cavalry or the Marines. Because when you get an infection in your nose, your throat, your mouth, a little scratch, you get a call. And the Marines and the cavalry get called in, and the white blood cells, the lymphocytes, the neutrophils, the eosinophils, and basophils get called in to eat up the viruses. Why isn't that happening for older people? Well, because the bone marrow is gone. Is that just from old age? No. That's why I brought up Italy. The bone marrow is gone because they have a gluten problem, kills off all the cells in their small intestine. Their absorbability efficiency drops down to 3% or less. Even though you're taking everything right, you cannot absorb anything. And so your bone marrow goes away. You get osteoporosis, and people are worried about fractures and all that kind of stuff as you get older. Everybody knows older people get osteoporosis, but newborn babies can have osteoporosis if the mothers don't have the ability to do that stuff. So when the older people get osteoporosis, the bone marrow cavities fill up with connective tissue, squeeze out the cells, the stem cells that make red blood cells, platelets, and antibodies. And so there's nothing. The senior, when they get the bug just kills them because there's no Marines and there's no cavalry. It's that simple. You look at Italy. Let's see, what is Italy? What's their biggest thing that they're famous for? Oh, pasta, spaghetti, bread, Italian bread, spaghetti, pasta, things like pizza. Now, there are a couple of places in Italy where the people don't eat wheat. They eat cornmeal, make everything out of corn. There's places in Italy where they make everything out of rice. They don't eat wheat. They don't have problems with the coronavirus because their bone marrow is healthy and they're able to absorb nutrients. And just remember, nutritional minerals do not occur in a uniform blanket around the crust of the earth. They occur in beds like chocolate and chocolate ice cream. They occur in veins like gold and silver and platinum. And so the only way that you're going to guarantee you're going to get all the nutrients your bone marrow needs to make the white blood cells, to make the antibodies, kill the coronavirus, right, is to supplement with the 90. And I like, in these days and times, everything going on, I like the biggest hammer in the toolbox, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Throw in the glucogel, throw in the collagen peptides, vitamin D3. You'll be killing everything with the new immunity booster bundle, okay? I-26, one of my favorites, Z Radical, Cell Shield RTQ, Fucoid Z, Ultimate Classic Daily, Ultimate Daily Classic, Ultimate Selene is really one of my favorites, Colloidal Silver, Goji, all these things. And again, I like the colloidal silver. Put a dropper full in an ounce or so of water in a little spray bottle. Close your eyes, spray a mist in your face, inhale it deeply so it goes up in your nasal passage, back of your throat. Gargle with it, brush your teeth with it, and swallow it. And you can actually spray it on your hands. I like to use the let's see here, the oils, okay, the aromatherapy oils. I love the, let's see here, I love the First Defense. I love the First Defense. I love eucalyptus, tea tree oil, cedar oil, because they also support your immune system and kill bugs. And so I even put it in my shoes, okay? I put it in my shoes. I put it on my hands up to my elbows. I put it behind my ears, Q-tips down in my ears. I put it on my mustache, on my nose. And I'm using all this stuff, okay? Why? Because it works. Immune 911, Goji, okay? And so please, please, please cover the waterfront with all the new products, the products that are guaranteed, been around for 1,000 years. And then don't forget the 90, the big hammer in the toolbox, Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, which has selenium in it, okay? Of course, you want to also do the immune booster bundle. And so I've covered a lot of territory there, and it's never too late. So people can get rid of the gluten, okay? Absorb the nutrients. So they got to live like an Asian, live on rice and sweet potatoes and millet and buckwheat and vegetables and poultry and fish and red meat, nothing fried, no processed meats, no oils of any kind. I say, well, you just said you like oils. Oh, I like the aromatherapy oils, which are really esters. Chemically, they're not an oil. Oils are from 10, 12, 13, 15 to 30 different carbons in them. They're very complicated substances, and they can prevent all kinds of problems, including anemias, and they can prevent problems like blood clots and so forth. When it comes to aromatherapy oils, there are only two carbons. They're esters. They don't spoil. They will last 1,000 years at room temperature, whereas oils will, even just like salad dressings in restaurants that have been sitting out on the table at room temperature all day, will kill you because they turn into trans fats, heterocyclamines, and acrylamides. It's oils that cause plaque in your arteries, not cholesterol. Cholesterol is your best friend. Get off of statin drugs. You want to get a hold of that CD. It's Skip a Saturday, Keeps the Doctor Away. We have a new book coming out here next month. It's called It's All in Your Head. We go into 25 different diseases you get from osteoporosis as well. Doctors never talk about this because doctors believe your spinal cord starts in your back. Your spinal cord is made in your brain, comes through the big hole in the back of your skull called the foramen magnum. In Latin means big hole. When it gets squeezed, you can be paralyzed at birth from your neck down. You get things like carpal tunnel syndrome, which are really not carpal tunnel syndrome. Your skull is squeezing the spinal cord as it comes out of the brain. You get paralyzed in your arms. We call it Erb's palsy, E-R-B'(S), or Wallach's palsy. I'm calling it now. It'd be in the new book, Wallach's palsy. You get ringing in the ears, tinnitus. It's squeezing of the auditory branch of the atrial nerve. You'll get gradual deafness, too. The vestibular branch of the atrial nerve being squeezed, you get Wallach's vertigo, okay? Or vertigo, which is a balance thing. You lose your sense of smell, which is a squeezing of the olfactory nerve, the cranial nerve number 1, cranial nerve number 2, the optic nerve. When it gets squeezed, you get blurry vision. The doctor says, well, you don't have pressure in your eye, you don't have cataracts, you don't have, let's see here, you don't have problems with your retina, and so you must have had a stroke because your eyes are just getting blurry, but you don't have any of the diseases that might cause this kind of stroke. No, the skull is squeezing the second cranial nerve, the optic nerve, and it's called optic nerve atrophy, ONA. Okay, Bell's palsy is a squeezing of the 7th cranial nerve, facial nerve. Trigeminal neuralgia, squeezing the 5th cranial nerve. When you get hiccups in the morning, or you get something like atrial fibrillation or tachycardia, okay, or terrible pain in your stomach, that can be caused by squeezing of the 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, when you have osteoporosis of the skull. We'll be talking about 25 of these diseases in great detail. The book called It's All in Your Head. Watch for this book, It's All in Your Head. I did a webinar yesterday. Actually, it was filmed. And so it's going to be available as a tool also in coming weeks. And so watch for that. And thank you, everybody, for doing such a great job. And thank you for all the presenters.
You're a great human being, Dr. Wallach. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you.